Are you a deviant? You know, like those of us who binge watch serial killer programmes, laugh at the stupid shit people do, and revel in anything adult? Well, you found your people. Join us as we crack open the door to the padded cell and release the insanely stupid, the weirdly wonderful, and those who choose to live outside societal norms. We'll delve into the strange, the macabre, the sexy, and the outrageous. So if you're a deviant, then you have your place with us in the padded cell. Hello and welcome to episode 34 of the Padded Cell podcast. We haven't done it for a while, so I'm Vicky.
I'm Nancy.
And I think we should do this because we've got loads of new watchers and listeners. Fucking loads. We're getting downloaded left, right and centre. People following us all over the place. Even TikTok's finally gone mad. Woo! Honest to God, TikTok's been doing me head in. The algorithms are just against us, but we've suddenly got a few posts with like 500,000 likes and shit on.
You know what's good for TikTok?
Go on.
Pickle challenge.
Yeah, never again. The only pickle challenge I want to do ever again is just picking up my emotional support pickle and just giving it a little hug.
I thought you were going to say bouncing this off you.
Well, I could bounce it off you, but no, I love my little pickle. Anyway, so today, it's going to be the 14th of May when this goes out. No, it's not. It's going to be the 9th of May. It's going to be the 9th of May. That was a good start. And during the week when this goes out, it's National Tourism Week. Love a bit of tourism, don't I, Nancy?
Tourism.
Where are you going this year?
Nowhere yet.
You've not booked anywhere?
I've got like a few things booked. I've got like downloads, and then we've got. Could you hear that?
Yeah, was that your stomach?
That was my stomach. Sorry. I've got a little surprise in mind that I want to book for Sid's 40th.
You've just said in front of millions of people that Sid's 40. He's going to absolutely murder.
He's having a little breakdown about it too. But
40's a great year, honestly. I mean, speaking from experience, I am the oldest person in the studio. I think that's including all the equipment as well. I am the oldest thing here. And my 40th year was, but my favourite year actually was 30. 30 was brilliant. Got married, got my first class honours degree, did all sorts of fucking brilliant things in that year. But 40, I wasn't that worried about it. When it came, I thought, I'm going to be a bit like, I'm 40. And do you know what? Your 40s is like the best decade. I mean, the 50s might be even better. But it's like, you're not a child and you're not old. Yeah. You're sort of in the middle and you're wise enough to like, I was going to say not to make bad decisions, but actually I've made bad decisions. But you know what I mean? You're a bit more sensible. And also people come to you like a bit of a life guru because you've got like 40 years under your belt. Like, do you know what? You'll know this. Yeah. It's quite nice. I don't know what the answer's like.
So I've got a little surprise in mind. Okay. I'll tell you when we're off camera. Okay. But yeah, nothing like no big holidays or anything booked.
Well, we haven't got any big holiday. We already had a big holiday because we're moving house. But we're thinking about going down to London for a week. It's going to be a little bit pricey, I think, but we've got some friends we can stay with. And I want to go to like all like little like curiosity places, like unusual museums, curiosity shops, down little back alleys and see what I can find. And obviously I love a good museum. So we've already got a few of those planned. But I just want to go and be a tourist in London because I've worked there for ages. I commuted and I literally just bobbed up like a mole from the tube. Went and did my thing, then went back down underground again.
That's usually what we do. We do loads of like odd places. Yeah. So we're going to do that anyway, I think. Because I don't think we're going to be able to do anything else with the house move this year. But National Tourism Week, so I thought I'd just get that in there. We're going to London, aren't we? Mrs. G has never been to Camden, so I'm going to pop in and show her Camden before we come home. I'm going to say why. You're going down to London as well. We have an event at our club at Townhouse called Ruby Slippers, and it's an all-female bi-gay event. And it's been going for years, hasn't it? And just recently, we've been nominated for an award. It's the Sexual Freedom Awards. Yeah, it's very exciting. Woo! Very, very exciting. And we're in the final, and there's only 3. We're top 3 finalists. Top 3 finalists, yeah. I think we stand a really good chance. I think so. Well, we'll know by the time this episode comes out. Yes, we will. The actual awards are on the 2nd of May, aren't they? And you and Mrs. G are going down because Mrs. G is the host and obviously you're the coordinator of our swinging parties. So I'm sending you guys down, aren't I, for a night, like off you go. Yeah. On the train, little hotel. little lesbian hotel. Be rude not to.
And hopefully you'll come back with the award, and the award is ironic.
Oh my God, it's spectacular.
Because, this...
I'll send you a picture, Dylan, to...
Dylan, wait till you see this.
Insert here.
Actually, do you know what? If you put the Sexual Freedom Awards in, and it might actually show you the trophy if you win. So our event is a bi-lesbian event, and if we win, the trophy is a penis with wings.
A giant golden penis.
Gold penis.
Going back to Harry Potter, looks a bit like a golden snitch.
It looks like a snitch. A snitch, though.
Sexual. Oh.
Golden snatch.
Another word for a fandango. It's very apt, actually. There you go.
Is this it? Oh, it's beautiful.
It looks a bit like a bird. Until you look, it's got a helmet.
Yeah, and, there you go. Go over to your left there. That's a better angle.
Which one? This one?
Up
here.
There you go.
There you go.
Oh.
Nice. See?
So it's a very erect
the curvature.
Penis. Yeah. It's a very pretty penis. Most of them don't really look like that. So, I mean, it's a young penis because it's got very small paired balls.
Yeah.
If that was a 50, 60-year-old penis, it'd have big, saggy balls.
Yeah. Their magnificent plumage is preened and ready.
Yeah. So there you go. So if we win, we're going to come back with a cock with wings.
Yeah. I have to try and control myself from not like deep throating it on stage if we win. Or
yeah, imagine on the tray on the way back. Passing it around the carriage.
Imagine me walking around Camden on the Friday with a giant dick.
So I am so excited about this, and I think we've got a great chance.
I think so,
and I'm just so proud that it's a gay bi event that is hopefully going to win. We've worked really hard over this event over the years, and nice for Mrs. G as well if you win, because obviously she's the new host and she's got those great ideas for it.
Nice start for her.
Yeah, definitely. So we had Dylan in the last episode. What do you think of having our Dylan?
It was different. It was very interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. I loved having you on, Dylan.
Amazing.
It was really good. Really, really good. Nice different dynamic, actually.
Yeah.
It was nice having a boy on who wasn't just like acting up the whole time. Really. Somebody half sensible. But we still do need to get Dylan pissed so we can see this dancing.
Yeah.
Apparently he can do. A bit of Irish chicken.
Hell yeah.
Is that what you do?
It's more in the legs.
Okay, well, my legs were going.
Yeah.
My legs were tapping. So, I just want to say a quick hello to some of our Patreons. Lizanne Sticks. Now, there's somebody here, I think the name is Kirsty, but it's actually spelt strangely. That sounds really disrespectful, I'm sorry. Obviously from somewhere other than the UK. It spells Kjersti. I think it's Kirsty, but it's just an unusual, maybe a Scandinavian spelling or something like that. Really sorry if I've said your name wrong. It's not intentional. It's just an unusual spelling. And in case I haven't mentioned them last time, because I can't remember, Hannah, Billy and Rachie, there are new Patreons, and some of those have actually joined us on our WhatsApp group because they're in the top tier.
Yeah.
So, we haven't got tons and tons of time today. So I am going to move on swiftly to my segment. Now, our introduction, it says the sexy, the outrageous, macabre, all that. We haven't done macabre for a little bit. Love a bit of macabre.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do macabre. And it is something that I've a sort of heard of, maybe. I wasn't too sure whether it's a real thing. But it's very, very rare. It's a very rare phenomenon. And it's called coffin birth. Have you heard of this? No.
No,
heard
I'm guessing where it's going.
Dylan?
Coffin birth. The only thing I would assume is that I can't even imagine a pregnant lady being buried and giving birth, but that's like a death metal album waiting to happen.
Another one? For God's sake.
Just getting all the corkers today.
Yeah.
So what was it? Call of the Void was the other heavy metal band, and now Coffin Birth.
Coffin birth.
Wow. Where's your head going, mate?
Well, that can be the band and the album name.
Oh.
And then Dylan like that going on the front of it.
I used to be in a death metal band as a teenager.
Did you?
Yeah.
You just like scream into a microphone?
Yeah.
Bah! Like a goat.
Yeah. My nickname, the Screaming Goat.
That's your pet name.
That's a different album.
Yeah. So, okay, coffin birth. So a little bit of a trigger warning. Obviously, we are going to be talking about death And as part of this, there is going to be talk of death of an infant, but not in huge detail. We're more going to be talking about the phenomena rather than the actual death, if you like. So this is a phenomena where a fetus, I'm going to call it a baby rather than a fetus. So the fetus is a scientific technical name for a baby prior to its birth.
Yep.
So you'd call it a fetus. It's still viable, legally viable and everything when you call it a fetus, but I'm going to call it a baby just because for our listeners, it's just a little bit less scientific, a little less sterile. And it just, it gives a little bit of life to this thing rather than just calling it a fetus. Just out of respect, really, I'm going to call it a baby. Okay. So this is a phenomena where a baby is expelled from the uterus after a mother has died. And it normally happens within around 48 to 72 hours after birth.
Wow.
Yeah. So let's just think about how a normal birth of a live baby from a live mother occurs. So I obviously know about this because I'm a midwife, but it involves a variety of hormones which are released from the mother and the baby. Babies are not passive in birth. They are very active participants. They release hormones and the mother releases hormones. These combined promote labour and promote the contraction of the uterus and the muscles surrounding the uterus. And through the hormones, the contraction and active pushing, once the cervix gets to 10 centimetres, these things combined result in the birth of a baby. So how would this happen? How would a baby be expelled from the uterus if these things aren't in place? Because if a mother's dead, she's not releasing hormones, she's not contracting her uterus. So how is this baby actually expelled? So it is very, very rare, and it's rare nowadays because obviously most people, especially in our side of the world, are embalmed, and the embalming process involves exsanguination, so that's the removal of blood and fluids, taken out of the organs, and basically doing a post-mortem, and everything put back again. So you would know if a woman was pregnant because you go through this process. So it doesn't really happen very much now. However, it did happen, still quite rare, years ago. And in 2006, archaeologists discovered a large grave in Italy with 4 bodies in it. And in these 4 bodies, there was a 3-year-old, a 12-year-old, sex unknown, and a woman of around 30 to 36, they're not too sure. And the bones of the woman, within the bones was a dead baby. And they reckon the baby was possibly around full term. And the baby's head was partially out of the pelvis. So birth had commenced. But they definitely know that the baby was dead at the time of birth. And when they did some examination of the woman and the other people in the grave, they found that they died of plague. So this would have been around the 14th century that they died. They died of plague. And where they were found was by a hospital. And it wasn't a hospital in the sense that we know now. It's more of a pit stop then. Yeah. We can just get your head down for a bit. And it looked like the family died there. And because they died of plague, I'm thinking they buried them really quickly to stop the spread of plague. Yeah. And the woman was pregnant at the time. And she would have been very obviously pregnant, but she was dead. And so I think that they assumed the baby would be dead as well. And actually, the baby would die a short time after her death because the baby would not have been getting any oxygen through the umbilical cord. So they were right in doing what they did. So this is the grave with the people in there, and they saw this baby partially delivered, and it was shocking. Because it's so rare. And I'm sure there's archaeologists out there that have never seen this. It's that rare. And it made them think, how and why does this happen? So the earliest documented occurrence of this was in 1551 in Spain. And it was around the time of the Spanish Inquisition. And we don't really know much about it. Basically, if you weren't Catholic, you were either tortured or put to death as a heretic. And in 1551, a pregnant woman was found guilty of heresy, and she was hanged. I was going to say hung, but I think the right word is hanged.
Hanged, yeah.
And approximately 4 hours later, twins fell from a uterus dead, to the shock of onlooking crowds. Now, this is actually quite soon after death. And normally, like I said to you before, if this happens, it's 48 to 72 hours after birth. Yeah. This was very quick. So I'm thinking there's a good possibility that she was in labour at the time she was put to death. How horrific. And the babies found their own way out. Then in 1650, there was an English woman called Emma Toplace. She allegedly gave birth to a live baby boy hours after her burial. And the records state the child was successfully rescued after multiple witnesses reported hearing rumbling and sighing coming from Emma's grave, along with the crying of a child. And the boy was reportedly did survive, and they named him, Fils de la Terre, which means son of the earth. Now, if this is true, the woman was buried, assumed dead. For this boy to be alive, this woman would have to have been alive.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he would have been born dead. He wouldn't have had any oxygen. So she was buried alive, and she would have actually gone into labour, and her final breaths would have been actually giving birth to this boy. But thankfully, the boy survived. So even though she would have been through this terrible, terrible ordeal, at least she gave birth to a live baby boy who had a life. So it wasn't for nothing. Excuse me. So looking into this, why and how does this happen? So if you think about when we die, there's a build-up of gas. Especially back then, there wasn't embalming. If there was embalming, it would have been, like royalty or something. But I'm not too sure if it was very commonplace at the time. People were just buried. So shortly after death, there's a breakdown, obviously, of tissue, organ tissue. Bacteria sets in, and the bacteria breaks down the organs and basically insides, and it causes bloating. I'm sure we've all heard about bloating. And in some cases, the bloating, that the buildup of gas can be so huge, it can cause pressure, and we see like leaking out of ears and stuff like that. But it can cause so much pressure, they can push down on the uterus. And if there's a baby in there, it can push down so much, it pushes the baby down and out through the cervix without any muscle contraction whatsoever. That's how strong this buildup can be. Now, the reason why only the head is often out of the pelvis, if you think about it, when the head comes out, the head comes round and it goes in, doesn't it, to the neck.
Yeah.
So that void where the heads come through, that wide void, the gas will escape then where the neck is. This is my theory. So the gas that was there before pushing the baby down is now being released. And so the pressure isn't there to push all of the baby out. Now, we have got a picture.
Yes.
And this is a picture of a lady's pelvis with a baby just making its little exit there. So how can I explain this? So you can see where the legs are at the top of the screen there, and the rounding of the symphysis pubis, which is the front of the pelvis. And just under there, you can see a little skull, can't you? And then the spine and the ribs going round there. So I can see quite clearly there that the head is actually partially out of the pelvic cavity there, and the rest of the baby is obviously still inside. It's a very sad picture, but the likelihood of the baby being alive at the time of birth is very, very slim. So it's safe to say that both mum and baby were dead at the time. So it's very sad, but I don't think there was anything gruesome happening here. I think the baby would have been out completely if it would have been alive. So there have been some instances where the baby has been completely delivered. But my thoughts are possibly a mix of environmental factors and a massive buildup of gas has just caused basically a massive explosion and the baby's come flying out. But it's very, very rare. So nowadays it is pretty much unheard of due to the modern embalming techniques that we were talking about before. But there have been a couple of cases and you can probably guess it's sudden death.
Yeah.
And maybe people that haven't been found straight away. In 2005, a 34-year-old German woman who was 7 months pregnant was found dead after a drug overdose, and her baby was found partially emerged. from the birth canal. She was obviously dead a few days for this to happen. As we said before, it's like 48 to 72 hours. And also in 2008, a 38-year-old woman from Panama went missing. She was 7 months pregnant as well at the time she went missing. And she was found dead 4 days later after being brutally murdered. How could you do that to a pregnant woman? Honest to God. And a dead baby was found, completely expelled from her body. And I don't know whether maybe she was completely dead, actually, at the time of the baby being delivered, because it was fully expelled. So I don't know. I couldn't find any more information on this, but I'm wondering if she was really badly beaten, but she was alive enough to birth her baby, and both
trauma
died.
Can obviously bring on a lot of stuff.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm not too sure about that. But really sad. Whatever happened there, she was a pregnant woman who was murdered. So there are 2 more modern day cases of this coffin birth. And thankfully, we do have embalming processes now which stop this sort of thing happening. And it is very macabre. And the thought of this woman who actually was probably alive when she was buried, given birth, it just does not bear thinking of, does it really?
It's horrific, isn't it?
It's horrific, absolutely horrific. But what a phenomenon. And, our bodies are amazing, even after death. And I think I've possibly brought this up before, but people often say to me, if you could have done anything growing up, what would it have been? And it would have been a pathologist. I've just got a fascination with life. And actually, we learn so much about life from death.
Yeah.
And the processes we go through as we die. And then obviously the pathology that goes into it afterwards. I find it so interesting. And I was reading the case studies around some of the pathology reports, and it's gruesome, but very interesting how the processes the body goes through after death, and how these like very rare phenomenon can occur. Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it? To give birth when you're dead. It's just mad, man. So what do you think about that?
I can't say it's what I was expecting this morning. Not that I ever expect anything. But yeah, I've not heard of that before.
Well, like I said, I sort of heard it on the periphery, but didn't really look into it very much. But I just thought, it's often a laugh a minute here. But occasionally, we've got to bring some of the macabre in, because I say it in the introduction.
You do?
I can't just give it lip service. I've got to bring the macabre in there. So there you go. Have you heard of that then?
I haven't heard of it, but my favourite comic, the main character is born like that. It starts off where his mother is hanged and he lands out of her.
Wow.
And he gets picked up by a gang of mercenaries.
Okay, there's actually a real story.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that's come from.
Probably has.
It's a lady in India, and she committed suicide. Sorry, trigger warning. She committed suicide, heavily pregnant, and very, very soon after she hung herself, a baby dropped from her uterus, and thankfully, somebody found her and picked the baby up, and the baby survived. So it's based on that. Who knows? Be. Yeah. So there you go. So macabre, but interesting.
It is interesting.
Fucking human body, it's bloody fascinating, and we still hardly know anything. Even though we know loads and loads and loads, there's still loads of stuff that we don't know, that we're learning all the time. We are amazing. So swiftly moving on to our dangly bit, from one amazing human phenomena to another amazing, very crazy human called Rosendo Tellez.
Rosendo.
On the 27th of March this year, Rosendo was arrested after he allegedly, fucking did, it's on video, stole a severed human leg from the scene of a train collision.
What the fuck?
And started eating it.
No.
Yeah.
His name sounds like a Harry Potter spell as well.
Rosendo Tellez.
Yeah. Rosendo. Yeah. And then you take someone's leg off.
Yeah. So he's 27. He's a young guy. And so this poor person was killed by a train. And onlookers are obviously horrified. Like, what the fuck do you do with this? But Rosendo was not horrified. He took the opportunity to just mosey on over there and pick a leg up. And he was spotted Walking down the road nearby, there was this crew of workmen laying concrete, and they saw him just swinging the leg along with like bits of skin hanging from it, bone protruding from it, and then he took a bite out of it. He took a bite out of the leg. Not just one bite, he was having a fucking good time, like it was KFC or something.
Fucking leg of lamb.
That's Nancy's next eating challenge for us.
No! No.
Get your chops round this.
Somebody actually captured the moment on video, and I'm not going to show it because it was rank. I can't lie. I did watch it, obviously, I had to. So if you want to look it up, just look up the man who ate a leg.
So where was this?
In America.
Obviously.
Yeah. So you can look up the video and you can see him eating the leg. Anyway, the police turned up. The train operators reported the incident, and the police turned up and he was taken into custody, but without incident. I thought he might have been fighting them off with the leg or something, but no, he just went along with the leg.
Most people would be like, "Oh, that's traumatizing. How can I help?" He's like, "Oh, dinner."
So can I tell you what he was charged with? Right. This is hilarious. So he was being charged with moving a body part from a place that is not a cemetery, so a train track, disposing of human remains in a place that is not a cemetery, his mouth,
and his toilet,
destroying or concealing evidence, eating it, basically, and resisting law enforcement. I just want to, in my head, he's like swinging the leg, going, "Fuck off!" Swinging the leg around, fighting them off. So Did he use the leg as a weapon? I want to know. Anyway, it was established that Rosendo was a homeless man and often slept in the doorway of a local liquor store. And he was actually seen in the liquor store an hour or two before, just being dead normal, walking in, probably buying his fags, his bifters and a bottle of something. And while the employees that work there know him, he's a regular. So he's in there buying stuff, sleeping in the doorway. And she said, "I can't believe it. It can't be him. He doesn't seem the type." What type of person?
Now, if you said it was that Dylan.
Oh my God. It doesn't seem... So she obviously thinks there's a type of person that eats a leg. Anyway, so Rosendo reportedly took the severed limb because he thought the leg was his.
So he wanted to eat his own leg.
Wow.
He's got to be on some drugs or mental illness or
Well,
something.
he has been done on other misdemeanor convictions previously related to drugs and alcohol. So he's definitely tripping on the light fantastic there, isn't he?
I mean, I've been in some states in my life, but I wouldn't want to eat someone's leg.
No, definitely not. I mean, I've got my mouth around a few things, but definitely not a severed leg. So there you go, the man who ate a severed leg.
Wow.
What have you got for us, kid?
Not a severed leg. Almost feels a bit shit now.
I should actually playing with the stress shit. Yeah.
It's dead satisfying, isn't it? I sat the entire time.
It is, yeah. Once you passed it over.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about a very, very local urban legend.
It's not me.
It's not you. You are real. So if you're from Liverpool or the surrounding areas, you know about Bold Street.
Yes.
You know, Bold Street is absolutely bustling with shops, restaurants.
A bit shit years ago, you know. It went right down the neck.
Yeah.
But it's really come up in the world again now. It's got amazing like little bohemian shops and cafes and all that.
Yeah. Full of hipsters.
Yeah,
and
brilliant.
Loads of shops that we like secondhand shops and like vintage shops and stuff. So have you heard of the time slips on Bold Street?
Right, yeah. I've heard of it. I think it was who was the guy's name? John Sleeman. Is it John Sleeman?
John Sleeman, yeah.
I think I might have actually heard him talk about it, but I don't know much. So go on, tell us.
So there's this phenomenon this is like the word of the day, isn't it? So it dates back. One of the earliest ones I could find was like 1996. So it's not years and years ago, but you know, it's not very recent. And this is one of the earliest accounts. So it was a policeman called Frank was out shopping with his wife. Frank and Carol say Carol wants to go to the bookshop and Frank's going to pick up the paper or whatever. And then, I'll meet you in the shop like you do. Yeah. You know, can't be arsed going in there, so I'll meet you in a minute. And then, you know, at the bottom of Bold Street is the big Lyceum.
Yes, I love that place.
So as Frank's come past that. He got a tingle.
In his mingle.
Like our tingle we were talking about, intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
And then he looked up and he nearly got taken out by a car, but it wasn't just a car, it was like a old...
like a vintage type car?
Like a van with caplins on the side.
Oh.
Narrowly missed him, and it was from the 50s, like this old like paper van type thing.
Nice.
And then as Frank's looking around, he's like, "What's
Frank farted.
This doesn't look normal. Like the shops had changed, all the storefronts were different, the road was different, so cobbly.
So you say gobbly then?
people are all dressed differently.
Yeah.
And it was very like 60s vibe.
Nice.
So he walks to where he knows his wife is in the shop anyway, and he notices a lady who's dressed very normal like him, whereas she stands out because everyone else looks like they're from a different time. And so the lady kind of smiles at him and they both walk into this shop. Now outside the shop, it's supposed to be a bookshop. It was covered in like clothes, ladies' clothes, handbags. So they walk in and then they were back in the bookshop, even though they walked into the clothes shop.
Wow.
And his wife's in there, like nothing's happened. And he says to this lady, did you feel something funny? And she said, I thought this was a clothes shop. I thought it was new, that's why I came in.
Oh, wow.
And then she was surprised that it's full of books.
Did she see the old car as well?
Yeah, so it was the same for her, walking into
weird.
what she thought was a new clothes shop, but it was actually back to the bookshop.
How weird.
No.
So what's the thought around this?
Nobody knows. There's like...
I'm sorry, you're rolling your poo like it's a rolling pin.
So there's like a few different things. People think it's just like a little, what's it called? Like a vortex, like a time vortex thing. One of the theories is that it's cracking time in the vicinity. And then another one is because it's the underground, all of the electrical high voltage stuff.
Yeah. Like an energy.
Because obviously
thing.
that's right under Central Station, isn't it? It's under there. That's some of the theories. But these, like, there's loads of these stories and they're dead interesting.
All on Bold Street or just different ones?
All on Bold Street.
Okay, so it's a regular phenomena there then?
So, like, people walk up and down Bold Street, it's kind of big me.
Expecting it.
Yeah.
Where'd you go back to?
And then there was another one, which is more recent. So this was like 2006, I think. Okay. So a little scouse scally called Sean, 19-year-old Sean, had been shoplifting, and he was getting lagged by the security guard.
Yeah.
So he runs down this alleyway into a dead end, and he's like, "Oh fuck!" So he turns around, expecting the security guard to be chasing him, and he's gone. Weird. So he turns around, and it's just like the same street but different. So everything's changed again. All the storefronts, all the roads, people dressed strangely, cars looked weird. It says even things he'd seen seconds ago were just not there anymore.
Wow.
So he walked up to a little paper stand and it said on the paper, 18th of May, 67.
Wow.
So it like transported him back 39 years. So he ran home. And then as he got further away from town,
it went back to normal.
It just went back to normal, yeah. So people are like, oh, it's just an excuse because he was running away and, you know, he's not a good account because of the type of person he is, because he was robbing. But the security guard actually gave his version as well.
Oh, so he saw it as well?
So the security guard said when he was chasing Sean, the pair headed into the dead-end alley and he visibly witnessed him just disappear into thin air. And it says, Sean has given this account time and time again and nothing has changed. You know, whereas if you're just making up a story and then you tell it to someone else in Chinese whispers, not a single detail in it has changed and it stayed exactly.
This reminds me of Good Night Sweetheart. Do you remember the programme years ago with Nicholas Lyndhurst? And he'd walk through a wall and go back to wartime.
Yeah.
And he had a wife in the wartime and a missus on this side as well.
Yeah.
Two-time little bastard.
So this is just the last little Try and zoom in. So under the Lyceum Club, people went in to do some work. And then there's this photo, which I'll send you, Dylan, in a sec. God have mercy on all who enter her. And that was signed the 5th of February, 66. And then someone's come back 7 years later and put, it's no joke. So apparently this is where loads of these incidents happen. And that's apparently
so
still
it's all
there.
centred around the Lyceum type of area.
Yeah.
I'm going to start hanging out there now.
I mean, I was shopping there this morning. Got my new top from Bold Street this morning.
I like it.
Nothing happened to me.
No.
I just had to come here.
Maybe we should like just hang out there a little bit. Thing is, right, if you're there with your mobile phone, I'd be filming shit to prove
but
it.
Apparently there's it's happened when people have been on the phone and then it just goes. And I think it was actually Sean who tried to phone someone and say, like, what the fuck's going on? No service at all.
Well, if you're going back in time,
because if you're in the 60s, obviously it's
how amazing is that? Oh, I
think it's dead interesting considering it's like on our doorstep.
Yeah. So I had heard something about Bowl Street and time slip, but I'd never really looked into it too much. I think it was maybe I'd heard Tom.
Yeah.
Well, it's Tom, isn't it? Not John. I said Tom.
Tom Slemon, yeah.
I think I'd heard him talking at some point about it. That's really interesting.
There's another one that's on Castle Street, you know, just down by the town hall.
Again, they're right by the trains.
And apparently it's only a certain spot, and I think there's actually a plaque on the floor now. Because loads of people, like psychics and stuff, stand there, they can see exactly how it was in like times gone past.
Wow.
Yeah.
You can take your little witchy self over there and start chanting and seeing
do a little scribe.
Divine rods and all that kind of thing. But it's funny that that's also on the underground route on that circle.
That's next to James Street.
Yeah. How strange. Have you heard of that, Dylan?
I've never heard of that. That's creepy.
Isn't it good though?
Yeah.
And the fact that there's so many people, and there's a recent one as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to look into that a little bit more. Love stuff like that. I do believe in time slips.
Yeah. And there is an account on TikTok that there's so much stuff in Liverpool, probably more things that we can talk about. But yeah, he talks about all of them.
I think, personally, I think actually some ghost accounts could be time slips.
Yeah.
I think it's very feasible when you think of energy and all that kind of thing. We're all just energy.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, anything is possible where that's concerned. Like quantum physics and all that kind of thing. Wow. There you go, time slips in Liverpool.
There you go.
Little scouse scally Sean. Shoplifting. Do you know what?
At least they got the new Doctor Who, that.
Yeah. Anywhere else though, it'd just be like a nice young, respectable boy in Liverpool, a 19-year-old scally who's shoplifting called
away
Sean.
from the security guard.
Says it all, doesn't it? Really?
I mean, it makes it believable.
It does. It does. Right. I think we need to finish. We had the fart buzzer, so I'm just going to do one little fetish factoid before we go. Okay. Probably a little mixed bag today. Dylan!
Yes.
Do you know what truffle butter is?
No, truffle butter.
Yeah.
As in like...
truffle butter?
As in truffle butter? As in butter that has truffles in it?
Is it? Is that what it is?
Like it could be.
Is that what you think it is?
Yes.
I've just said fetish factoid, so you really think I'm going to talk about
Someone's
butter
got a fetish for
with
butter.
truffle in it? I love truffle, you know. Oh, my favourite thing.
I'm going to let you explain it to me, Vicky.
Okay. Do you know what truffle butter is?
My brain is leaning more towards smegma.
Oh
really?
Like dick butter.
We say smeg an awful lot on this podcast, don't we? Smeg.
That's where my brain goes.
Okay, so truffle butter is when a man performs anal sex on a woman, gives it a good old go around, and then penetrates her vagina. And the caramel-coloured substance that forms around the entrance of the vagina is called truffle butter.
Dylan's gone.
Crumpet, anybody?
Oh no.
He's questioning his life
It
decisions.
reminds me of Raspberry Ripple.
Ah!
What's Raspberry Ripple?
Just think along the same lines, mate.
Yeah.
This was a personal experience that we probably don't need to talk about.
You haven't experienced truffle butter then?
No.
Have you
That's a hard
experienced truffle
limit.
butter? Are you going to plead the fifth on that one as well?
Not personally.
Not personally. No, me neither, actually. But apparently, some people love this. and try and achieve it. Oh. And at that point, I stopped reading because I'm sure it went on to, eating
other
the
things.
truffle butter. Yeah. But I stopped short.
Do you like butter on your toast?
Truffle butter on a crumpet. There you go. Anyway, again on that bombshell, which I say quite a lot. Bombshell again. We don't have to talk about shit an awful lot here, don't we?
We do.
I don't mean to. It just happens. We've got loads of shit on the table and everything. So, if you're binge watching, put the kettle on and we'll see you in 5. If not, we'll see you next week for more shit and frivolities.
Literal shit.
Bye. Bye. And there we have it. Another day made better by listening to the curators of chaos. Thanks for dropping by. And if you enjoyed the show, we'd really appreciate you sharing your love for the Pad to Sell podcast with your friends. Don't forget, give us a follow on our socials, maybe leave us some 5-star reviews, and feel free to send us an email to medic@the Podcast, or even interact with us on Facebook, Insta, and our other socials, because we love chatting to you. Be sure to stop by next week because, as Bowie says, I don't know where I'm going next, but I promise it won't be boring. Catch you soon.